Hey, what's up? Once again, I'm John Davey. I work in IT and I used to be a tech instructor. Recently, I've been helping tutoring people looking for help with passing the Security Plus exam. So by the end of this video, you should have a deeper understanding of how to answer questions related to cross-site scripting and SQL injections. All right, let's jump right into it. Number 13, a tech support engineer has been asked to enhance the situational and environmental awareness of current users as they transition from remote to in-office work. Which of the following is the best approach? Send out periodic security reminders, update the content of new hire documentation, modify the content of recurring training, or implement a phishing campaign. Quick note, I know remote jobs have died down a bit, but if you're interested in where to find the ones that are still left, check out my video, Here's Why They Want to Stop You from Working Remote Jobs with my good friend, cybersecurity pro, Renita Rhodes. Okay, so back to the question. Sending out periodic security reminders isn't a bad option here. The reminders can be updated to address the transition back to office. But since the question asks for the best approach, that implies that more than one answer works. It's just that one answer is better than the rest. So with that said, let's see if there's a better answer. We can rule out updating the new hire documentation because that doesn't address all employees, only the new ones. Creating a fake phishing email campaign will test if employees can recognize them as scams, but this isn't office-specific training. You can fall for a fake email working remote or in the office. The best approach is C, modifying the content of recurring training. Reminders are helpful, but a training can go into explicit detail about things like not allowing unauthorized people into the office or locking computers when you're away to keep important information safe. Number 14, which of the following enables the use of an input field to run commands that can view or manipulate data? XSS, sideloading, buffer overflow, or SQL injection? So first, the XSS is short for cross-site scripting. Remember, KYA, know your acronyms. Speaking of cross-site scripting, let's say you're visiting a website where you can leave comments. A hacker could post a comment that looks harmless but actually contains a hidden script that your browser runs without you knowing. Here's an example of such a script. In this script, document.cookie is a JavaScript command that retrieves the cookies stored by the website you're visiting. This could include your session token. Image.src is used to send the cookie to the hacker's server located at hackersite.com without you ever noticing. What's going on here is when your browser runs a script embedded in that comment, the hacker is hoping that your session token gets sent to the hacker's server. I said hope because session tokens aren't always stored in cookies, but if they are in this scenario, then the hacker has your session token and can use it to log in as you. Back in 2014, hackers figured out a way to insert a cross-site script on eBay to redirect eBay customers interested in cheap Apple smartphones to a spoofed eBay welcome page. Once there, customers were asked to enter their account username and password. Obviously, this info could have been used to gain full access to their eBay accounts. Anyway, cross-site scripting speaks to using a website's input field to run commands that trick your browser into telling the hacker how to log in as you. But the question asks for using a website's input field to run commands that can view or manipulate data. Cross-site scripting can lead to data being viewed, but that's not the direct outcome. Remember, cross-site scripting attacks lead to your browser being tricked into telling the hacker how to log in as you. For more clarity, let's look at SQL injections. Let's take the example of a banking website. Typically, you would enter your username and password to log in, and the system would check the database to see if your credentials match the account. The bank's login form might send a query like this to the database. However, if a hacker inputs or 1 = 1 into the username field and leaves the username and password fields blank, the query turns into this. Normally, the database would check to see if there's a matching username and password record based on this query. But this all gets ignored due to how SQL processes the OR condition. Basically, the OR operator tells SQL if either condition is true except the whole statement. Since 1 equals 1 is always true, the entire where condition becomes true even if other parts of the query like checking for a blank username or password are false. Now this is the part that explains why SQL injections are the right answer to this question.
Gotcha.
The modified SQL query will run against the database. Because the condition is always true, the query may return all records from the user's table instead of just the intended user. The attacker can now see sensitive data such as usernames, passwords, credit card info, or any other data stored in the database. Remember, when it comes to attacks based on inputting code directly on the website through a login form or comment field, CompTIA wants you to know that SQL injections directly lead to data being exposed. For number 14, the answer is D, SQL injection. Real quick, for the other two options, sideloading refers to installing apps from unofficial sources and not through the official app store. It has nothing to do with input fields or manipulating data. For example, if you download an app from a random website instead of the Google Play Store or Apple App Store, you're sideloading. Buffer overflow happens when too much data is sent to a program, causing it to crash or behave unpredictably. Hackers can use this to execute malicious code, but it doesn't involve an input field for running commands to view or manipulate the data. Number 15, a security analyst is reviewing the following logs. These appear to be log entries of an attempt to log into several accounts. Which of the following attacks is most likely occurring? Password spraying, account forgery, pass the hash, or brute force? Alright, for this one, let's keep it brief. Password spraying is when an attacker uses common passwords to attempt to access several accounts on one domain. This sounds like what's going on, but as always, let's evaluate all options before making our final decision. Account forgery allows the attacker to act as a legitimate user by hijacking their session without needing the actual password. We just saw this in the previous question where the attacker steals a user's session token through cross-site scripting. Since passwords are being used in this hack attempt, we can rule out account forgery. As for a pass the hash attack, let's quickly review what the hash is. When a user creates a password, the system stores a hash version of that password rather than the plain text password itself. The hashing process uses a one-way algorithm like MD5 or SHA-1 to scramble up the password into a fixed length string of characters known as a hash digest. This hash digest is stored in the system's authentication database associated with the user's account. In a pass the hash attack, the attacker captures this stored hash value of the password and uses it to authenticate to the system, bypassing the need to know the actual password. Once again, since actual passwords are being entered, we can rule out pass the hash. Brute force attacks involve systematically trying all possible combinations of characters to guess a password. But since the same password is being used for each account, we can rule out brute force. Now we've confirmed that the answer here is A, password spraying. The logs show multiple different usernames with the same password being attempted. This pattern indicates that the attacker is trying a common password across several accounts, which is a characteristic of password spraying attack. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get more Security Plus exam question tutoring like this one. If you want to reach out for help or inquire about my personal tutoring services, check out the Tech or Die contact link in the description of this video. Remember, success is a choice. Make your future now and subscribe so you can manifest your cybersecurity goals with the next video.